My name is George Chen, Mayor of City of Torrance. I'm here with South Bay Sports Radio, Nick Ingram.
George, when you first heard about the Friendship Games, what was your initial reaction?
Ecstatic that we're able to do this because these international competitions have been something that I've been thinking of.
For Torrance to be put on display like this, what does this mean for our city?
It's huge. It's huge. The city is such a diverse city. We have every nation represented here. And you look at our schools, you can see how, we are a multi-nation city. We're like a micronation. And this just brings the city of Torrance on the world stage, on the map. That we're not just a city of economics, residential and commercial, but we're going global, even in the international sports scene, especially with the upcoming World Cup 2026 and LA 28 and Paralympics.
What's been the impact that you've seen so far from these games?
Since this is the first one that just started, so the impact will start trickling in. But even before this Friendship Game started, we've already gotten some wins. For example, earlier this year, Sony Honda Mobility of America, a brand new joint venture of Sony and Honda to develop a high-end electric vehicle. They have called their home the city of Torrance already. So yesterday I have another text. Another company wants to come to the city of Torrance. So getting this kind of exposure and having such a strategic geographic location, 10 miles south of the LA airport, 10 miles north of the port of Long Beach in LA, having a beach and the fair weather of roughly 70 degrees all year around, and being safe and clean and a strong school district. It's an ideal place for businesses to come, athletes to come and train as they prepare for the big games, LA 28.
The relationship between our sister city, Oshu, Japan, and Torrance, when that first came to be, what went into all that?
What went into all that was, as soon as we heard the announcement that Shohei Ohtani signed with the LA Dodgers, immediately we saw there was a double-pronged strategy, not only athletically, but economically. The city of Torrance has roughly a 37% AAPI population already. And within the AAPI population, the Japanese American in the city of Torrance is the highest concentration in the 48 contiguous states. So there's a strategy. The data proves it. So now we could attract tourism. They all want to come to Dodgers, watch a Dodgers game. But where do we want them to stay? In the Torrance hotels, eat at our restaurants, and of course, shop at the second largest mall in the West Coast, El Amo Fashion Center.
All right, George, we're going rapid fire. Okay. Just 3 questions today. Favorite baseball players of all time?
I'm going to have to say Shohei. He's the greatest player on planet Earth of all time at this moment. So he's hands down.
Favorite baseball movies?
Jackie Robinson.
42.
42, that's it.
There we go. Your go-to South Bay eatery and your favorite dish there?
Panda Express, orange chicken.
Thank you, George. I'm here with Torrance City Council member John Kaji, District 1. How did the Friendship Games come into play?
So I was at City Hall and watching the coverage the day that the Dodgers signed Shohei Ohtani. And at that moment, I thought this would be a great time to push forward the idea of the city of Torrance establishing a friendship relationship with Shohei's hometown of Oshu. And that's how it moved forward.
How was the reception with not only the city of Torrance, but the school district and the baseball teams?
When we first started with Oshu, we next moved to the city of Bizan, Okayama, where Yoshinobu Yamamoto's from. So the council was very supportive. We moved forward. We signed the friendship agreements with both cities. They sent their mayors here to Torrance. And since then, we were contacted by 310 Baseball, who have been involved in baseball exchanges between Japan and the U.S. So it seemed like a natural coincidence that we would cooperate, and that's what's led to this friendship game today.
What can we expect from the future of the Friendship Games?
I think the next step will be for the city of Torrance and with 310 Baseball to organize a team to go to Japan and play their teams both in Oshu and Bizan. And I think there's a lot that both sides can learn from each other. Training techniques, warm-ups, just their approach to baseball is different than what we have here. But I think that would be a value add to everyone who plays baseball and who loves baseball.
What have been some things that you've seen from the team from Japan in regard to preparation?
They arrive here 2 hours early. The coaches have a very specific stretching and warm-up regimen, which they follow to the nth degree. So I believe that for the people who have arrived here early, what they've seen during the warm-ups is completely unknown here, but we'd like to open that door and allow more people to understand how they approach baseball in Japan.
We had talked earlier about the level of respect that the Japanese have for the game of baseball, but what have you seen over the last couple of days in that regard?
I believe that for our Torrance residents and for our visitors from outside of Torrance, they've been paying particular attention to all these different nuances, just the way they tip their cap when they step up to home plate, the way they go about getting ready to hit, how they field, things like that, I think make a difference. And for our little leaguers who have been showing up, and they've been paying attention, I think it's a great thing.
All right, Ken, who are some of your favorite baseball players?
All time?
All time.
Hey, I grew up a Dodger fan. I first went to a Dodger game at the Coliseum. So Sandy Koufax, Don Drysdale, all of the old Dodger stars have always been my favorites. I went to USC, so Tom Seaver, all the players who went through the SC Division I program. Yeah, I'm just one of those kind of diehard Trojans.
Who's your least favorite baseball team?
The Astros. No, that just never worked for me, and I wish we'd get that one back.
What's your favorite baseball movie?
Field of Dreams.
Your go-to South Bay eatery and your favorite dish there?
My go-to, I like going to Shinsengumi Ramen, Western Avenue. I've been a customer since they first opened, and I'm still go there, so that's number one.
Do you have a dish that you get every time you go in, or do you kind of take a look at the menu and say, I'm going to try something different?
I try and cover every item on the menu, so every time I go in, I change it up.
There we go.
Robbie Barr here, head baseball coach at Torrance High School, tuned in to South Bay Sports Radio. Honored to be with you, Nick.
Rob, you graduate from Torrance High 2008, joined the staff in 2013, take over the head role in 2021. But we're here talking about the friendship games. We've got a team from Japan playing against all 4 Torrance schools and 310 baseball. When you first heard about this opportunity, what was your initial reaction?
Yeah, I thought it was, going to be a unique thing. Having the setting here at Torrance Park, Kendall Field, Torrance Park. I thought that was a perfect location. There's a whole lot of seating and shade for everything, and it's always a good experience here. So I just knew it was. They did it right picking this spot.
What has been the boys' reaction and the family's reaction, especially when you first informed them about these games?
Yeah, they were excited, but had tons of questions. How competitive the game was going to be. The commitment level, how many practices and things like that. But everybody's fired up about this experience. I think we'll have a good fan base today and welcoming Team Japan. And hopefully this is the first of many.
We've got news that Ohtani's dad's going to throw out the first pitch at the opening ceremonies. The fanboy in me, Shohei Ohtani is like a unicorn, but when you watch Shohei play, what are some of your thoughts?
Yeah, I just think it's an incredible thing to see. We're all pretty fortunate to see that take place. And Dodger fans being able to see that every single day here on the West Coast, I think we all take it for granted, like most things in life.
You took the head coaching job in 2021. When you took over, what were some things that you wanted to instill in this program?
Yeah, I just think, playing the game hard, having a chip on your shoulder, but doing things right, being a good student athlete and being respectful on and off the field. We kind of talk about being good teammates and things like that until we're blue in the face. And I think we've hit it on the nail. We don't want to change too much, but you kind of just add your own little flavor to it. But yeah, I'm super humbled to be the head coach here, and we've been doing some remarkable things.
We talked earlier about Torrance Little League winning the World Series, the Little League World Series, and Japan always having a team in the Little League World Series as well. The competitive level of these 2 programs, how would you speak to that?
I just think the nature of it, of the history of Torrance High, bringing in great talent. A lot of people want to play for us, and I just think that culture of Japan and Torrance, and again, Torrance being a diverse city, it brings a neat element to this. Hopefully, like I said, many years to come of this tradition.
You graduated from here in 2008, but what would best describe your career as a Tartar?
Yeah, I just think being a good, being a good teammate. You try to give it all you got, and the chips will lay where they may. But most importantly is just trying to be a good dude, And I think, learning from my previous coaches that coached all of us for many years, there's a lot to love about Tartar baseball, and we still preach that to this day.
You've got some two-sport athletes on your team, and I know that what's happening now is a lot of kids are specializing in one sport, baseball, football, whatever it may be. But what's your opinion on a two-sport athlete?
I'm all for it. I think more sports, the better. Baseball is a hard game, and, you can't get burned out. But, we encourage the two-sport athletes. We want them to play as many as they can. Because these high school years are going to go by too fast. 4 years and it's over. So we encourage it. But then again, there is some times where we're like, maybe you shouldn't play. Maybe you ought to get ready for this big senior year.
The last time we spoke, you guys had a tough game in the playoffs. How would you describe this past season to somebody that only views your success as a win-loss record?
The last game doesn't define the season. The guys had a heck of a season. We played really well, for the team that we had. Having Mateo Rickman as, the team leader and one of the best players in the area, helps out a lot, and he carried a lot of the weight. So we're just here trying to, be consistent and be competitive and put a good product on the field.
When you're not coaching baseball, what are some things that you're doing?
I like to try to manage my time. You want to have a good balance. I'm all about family. I hang out with my family a lot. I have a huge family, actually. So I try to spread my time all over, and I do like to, take some time and travel. I like hanging out in Arizona, believe it or not.
Who have been some of your mentors?
I think, Ollie and Coach Turner and Coach DeWan, they've had a huge impact on my life. Coach Mike Poor, Coach Bob Grajeda, Shane Schumacher. When my early years coaching, I was coaching at the South Bay Refinery over on Alaska Avenue, and Schumacher took me under his wing, and I learned a lot of baseball, more than I ever have with him. So that was a huge blessing to be around that guy.
What is your philosophy on helping develop the younger players?
Yeah, we have done, I think, probably the best job you could possibly do, and I'll put that up against anybody. That we take great pride in our youth, and we want to make sure that not just for the sake of Torrance. That does have the impact on it, but I remember when I was young, and the impact our high school program had on our youth, and I just kind of want to do the same. And my dad coached me when I was younger, so he had a huge display on my life as well, showing me what right and wrong and stuff like that, for the youth. So yeah, baseball in Torrance is big.
Beautiful. Thanks, Coach. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, Rob, let's go. Favorite baseball players?
Favorite baseball players? I just think the history of the Dodgers and Yankees. I think, I'm a Dodgers fan at heart, but growing up, I kind of always admired the style of play that Mickey Mantle had.
Your least favorite baseball team?
Probably have to say the Red Sox.
A movie is being made about your life. Who plays Rob Ibarra?
Babe Ruth.
John Candy, let's go. Your favorite baseball movies?
Field of Dreams, Sandlot, Rookie of the Year.
Your go-to South Bay eatery and your favorite dish there?
Go-to South Bay eatery. I think the go-to, because I'm always at the field, is Island Hut right up the street here, and it's get the katsu chicken plate. It's a little different than all the others. There we go.
I am here right now with Grady Sane, the baseball coach at South Torrance High School. Grady, you guys recently played against Oshu City, Japan's senior Little League team.
Yes.
When you look back at these friendship games, what are some of your biggest takeaways?
Oh, man, we were just kind of referencing it earlier. Baseball's on a global stage. And so what it did was it really brought that connection, a real experience, right? Because we sit there and watch them on TV and we obviously have, the social media accounts and things like that. You're seeing, you know, baseball being such a global game, but you don't have a real connection. And this experience really, really kind of gave us that real life connection. Just bringing the team Oshu City, over here, gave everybody an opportunity to be a part of it and also see what baseball on the field is like, from a team from another country. And it was awesome to see. And, not to mention that we are so diverse in our city. And, we do have a large population of Japanese. And we all have at South Torrance, we have plenty of players that, Japanese descent. And so, just to see that style and the culture was incredible.
What are some things in the on the field preparation, any philosophies that you can take away from what you saw over the last couple days?
Yeah, I just think just the attention to the detail, and we got a chance to watch them take some pregame, and they call it knock. So that was kind of interesting. I don't know where that term came from, but they call it knock. We call it pregame. But anyhow, their pace is so quick. I think just constant movement, not a lot of wasted movement. And just the effort level is very, very high. Even just taking infield, outfield pregame. Of course, during the game's a game, but there's just little nuances within the game that they will do that is just impressive, right? From the way that they kind of like approach their at bat. There's a lot of direction during the at bat. They step out, look at the coach, and take direction and try and apply. But it's a very fast-paced game for them that they play. I feel like offensively, being on the top of the baseball, and they use the opposite field really well, particularly their left-handers. You could kind of see that little Ichiro style, which is very intriguing because they had quite a few players that I saw that were very successful with that. And then, utilizing their quickness and speed. Those things were things that really stood out to me.
I did speak with a council city member, John Kaji, and our mayor here in Torrance, George Chen. And one of the things that I had asked them about was the respect factor that was on display about the game. And I know respect can be interpreted in many different ways, but how did you see that from your vantage point?
It was as I would expect, right? It's just you hear so much about their culture and how respect is at the top, and it's like to think that we kind of in our program lead with that as well. And no, you just definitely see how respectful they are and how much they appreciate being out on the field, playing the game, paying attention to their coaches, and obviously the interactions with coach to coach and such. Incredibly respectful. Mr. Otani, his whole staff, incredibly respectful, and we were just grateful to have them to be on the field together, and we're grateful to be part of that experience. But yeah, it's very respectful kids, and like I told you before, I have coached a lot of players and still do to this day that at South where they're of Japanese culture, and I find that to be very true, where they're very respectful and willing to do whatever you as a coach asks them to do, and that's definitely part of their fabric.
What do you see for the future of the friendship games, if not annually, probably every couple of years?
I think it's to open the door, right, to great opportunities. And so I know that our mayor and George Chan, and we have
Chuck Ono from 310 Baseball, I know that they're going to start the process and get to work on what's next. Yeah, you could see it every other year, do like a, 1 year, the Japanese team comes out to Torrance, and the next year we send one back there. But it could go a ton of ways. I mean, it could be kind of one of those all-star type teams that go over. And so maybe that's something that a player would work to and strive to be on. But yeah, I mean, it's just a great thing because it's growing, not only the game of baseball and making the real connection, but it's also given opportunity to blend, two countries and maybe grow beyond that. I remember talking to George on Sunday there after the game, and he had actually mentioned about, like making this, not just specific to one country, but maybe opening it up to others. And, I think that's kind of right on line with what Major League Baseball is and has done, with really making this such a global game. So yeah, the possibilities are endless, and it's going to be exciting.
Were you able to talk with Shohei Ohtani's dad at all? I know he had said that his English wasn't as fluent as he'd like.
For the game, just asked him how his trip has been so far and such, and they were still dealing with a little bit of the jet lag, which is completely understandable. But yeah, obviously what you'd expect, very nice, respectful, and again, it was just honor to be there and be a part of this whole experience.
Were there
go ahead.
Were there any coaching philosophies that you may have seen secondhand that you thought I could input this into my program? Or was this all something that you've seen done in the past that you've tried to pick from,
Yeah, I think it's hard to really just, take a look at it like that, just because you're trying to enjoy that whole experience. And I'm kind of there in a coaching perspective, but I'm also there as a fan. So it wasn't as if I was trying to focus on certain things. And I mean, there's certain things that stand out, like philosophically, not necessarily, because I'm familiar with what their style could potentially be, right? And yeah, it's there was some good hitting and running going, and obviously trying to take advantage of opportunities on the base paths. And but the game doesn't look so different when it's baseball. So what I really was intrigued by was some of the techniques of their hitters, particularly left-handed hitters. They did really, really. It's like, I mean, we've all watched Ichiro growing up, and it was, I think we all may have even tried to emulate that swing, but it was really, really hard to do. And so that's one of the things that stood out to me was some of their left-handed hitters, how good they were, and how they looked like Ichiro in the box. Were able to hit a couple of knocks to the middle and the opposite field. I don't know, it was impressive because you just don't see that style, in our area.
There are 4 hitters that come to mind when you mention Ichiro. And of course, Ichiro is the one. There's Shohei Ohtani because of his story with you can't hit it to right field because we lose all the balls in the river, so you got to hit it to left. But one player that you mentioned in our recent talk was Tony Gwynn. Another player that I've talked with, a former coach of yours, as this generation's Tony Gwynn, but with pop, is Freddie Freeman. And so for me, when you start to mention hitters like that, it's finding ways to get on base, finding ways to help your team, not driving the ball out of the ballpark, because yes, a home run is quote unquote sexy, but getting on base, making things happen on the base pass. To me, that's baseball.
Yeah, I can't argue that. That's, as a high school coach, that's kind of what we've been after and what we're going to continue to be after. But the game changes at different levels and such. So, but no, I just think that they play a great style of baseball, and one that I definitely subscribe to and try and do my best to get our ball clubs to play like. But yeah, it's you're talking about just ultimate team baseball players, ultimate team baseball.
Beautiful. Grady, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you. I'm here with Chuck Ono, founder of 310 Baseball. Chuck, when this relationship between Torrance and Japan first began, how did you become involved?
Well, it started with the city of Torrance probably almost 10 years ago. We've been playing on Torrance fields, and we've been always having a close relationship with the city of Torrance, with the school district. And it wasn't until maybe 2-3 years ago when we had the mayor and some of the councilmen come out, sponsor, help us out with the games. And obviously we had council members and the mayor himself come out and throw the first pitch. Well, since then, Torrance has built a few relationships with some of the cities in Japan, one of them being Oshu, the team that's here today. And yeah, right then, last year around December, the talks started. Myself and Hector, we went to Japan, visited Oshu, and they were interested in bringing a team out here.
What has been the cultural standouts that you've seen over these last couple days?
With the teams from Japan?
Correct.
I think obviously the way they take themselves on the field and off the field, very disciplined, very, I guess, almost, I don't know what you call it in our world, but almost professional at this young age. Very respectful players on and off the field, and they work hard, that's for sure.
You talked earlier about the involvement with 310 and your involvement in baseball. Having hosted teams from Japan before, did you ever think that it would come to this where teams from Japan would be playing against teams from Torrance high schools, especially North Torrance, South Torrance, Torrance and West, as well as your academy with 310?
I mean, this session 2 that we're having, and when I say session 2, is session 1. We also have another program where we had a bunch of players come from various cities from Japan, and they played not just Torrance, but their schools too. Now, for this group, obviously working with the city of Torrance, it's been a great Torrance event. We've included all of the 4 Torrance high schools, Torrance, West, and South, and all the fields except West due to some renovations that they're doing over there. But being able to play on the actual fields the Torrance kids are playing on, and then having a lot of the host families based out of Torrance, it just brings it all together as one big Torrance event.
What's been the reaction that you've seen that's shown you that this is just the first of many friendship games?
We hope that, again, it is an exchange. We usually bring kids to Japan the following year, and then the next year we bring kids out here. Again, with the help of the city of Torrance, we hope to even expand with some of the other cities. And we hope, we've been doing this for almost 15 years with Japan, but just imagine how we can possibly expand to Korea, Taiwan, China, Mexico, Europe, even Australia, New Zealand. You never know. And as we use kind of sports kind of as a tool to bring the cultures together and the kids together, what more of a wonderful opportunity can you have?
All right, 2 quick rapid fire questions. Who's your favorite baseball player of all time? Not named Shohei Ohtani.
Sadaharu.
Favorite baseball movie?
There's so many. Let's go with the old one, Mr. Baseball.
Here we go. All right, last one. All right, Chuck, your go-to South Bay eatery and your favorite dish there.
Standing room in Redondo Beach.
What do you get when you go there?
Burger name,
What's on it?
the one with the egg.
The one with the egg. The one with the egg. There we go. Thank you, Chuck, very much.